And my grandpa died 3 weeks ago, and his lake house was his, what I believe to be most sacred space for his art and, just for any kind of good memories. I think the best part about that house was that he had a loft that he dedicated to his art. His loft space was where essentially it all went down. His easels were up there, and that's where he would go and paint and look out the window and be able to look down at the lake and, his property. The way I knew him was as a painter and an illustrator. Since I was very little, I always remember him teaching me different little tidbits on how to draw. He'd show me how to do light and shadows or depth of field just with the stuff that was sitting on the dining table. He bought me my first set of oil paints, and that's really the only kind of training I ever had was from him. My favorites of his were always his paintings, though, but to be able to see the process behind them, to be able to look and see the references, and then to see the pencil sketches, and then to see the trial and error, to see everything that went behind one painting really was eye-opening for me. He was a student of art and then went into service in the Korean War, and for the most part had to put that to the side to come back home and take care of a family after the war. So art really for him was something that he wanted to make a career that turned into, I suppose, a hobby. To have that in the back of my head and have him telling me, you could do this if this is what you want to do, to have his support every step that I did, the tiniest little thing, to have him in my corner telling me, oh, that's awesome, that's great, and keep doing it. To know that somebody so talented was in my corner rallying for me when a lot of people weren't was really special to me. I remember him telling me how happy he was that I'm the kid that my parents got from Korea, and that he's so happy that he was able to pass things on to me in terms of artistry, and I took them with me this far. It's hard to describe somebody who was so many things at once. He was probably one of the funniest, most generous and just happy people that I knew. I mean, he would ski all over the world. He had a whole bunch of friends that they would go all across Europe to go ski together. I think the most important thing was he just wanted to make sure that everyone was happy and having a good time all the time. One of my fondest memories up at the lake was every year my grandpa and I would sit out on the dock of his house. We'd have a warm Coca-Cola and watch the sunset on the dock and just talk shit about, whatever a 10-year-old wanted to talk shit about. So to this day, if I have a Coca-Cola, I think it brings me back to that. I'd given him a card for his birthday, and it said something about following in someone's footsteps. He pulls me over and he's telling me, all these things about how happy he is that he's inspired me, and it was kind of a weird conversation because it was almost seeming like a conversation that you have with somebody when they know they're not going to be able to have many more conversations with you. I know that I'm happy that we got to have that conversation on Christmas, because I don't know that I would have ever gotten to say those things, but how important he is to me and how much he influences my work every day, and letting him know that when I paint flowers on a jacket, I think about how he used to paint pinup girls on the sides of cars. I think that was special for him to hear, and it was really good. It was important for me to tell him that. The last time I saw him, I had to cut my visit a little short just because I had to go back into Manhattan to get a couple pieces of paperwork done and have a couple meetings at work. So I told him, like, well, Grandpa, I gotta leave now. I have a couple meetings. So he looks at me and he goes, ain't you some hot shit? I'm proud of you. To have that be the last memory I had with him, knowing that he was proud of what I'm doing and that he started to see me coming into where he always pictured me. I remember him saying that he imagined me in an office with a really nice window and a big leather chair. I kind of have that now, which is really nice.